What do the 21 years of democracy mean to South African workers? And is the 2015 Workers' Day worth celebrating? Has the NUM sold out mine workers? Is there any progress towards implementing a living wage? What time is it? It's question time. Hello and welcome to the show. My name is Mpho Tseidu. The role and contribution of workers towards the attainment of political freedom in South Africa cannot be overemphasized. As the country celebrates 21 years of a democratic dispensation, the ruling party has intensified the effort towards improving working conditions as well as implementing a living wage to millions of workers who are essentially drivers of the country's economy. The most common question, though, is why should workers have to embark on industrial action before their demands can be met? A reminder that this is a live program, and therefore we welcome your views. The numbers 011-714-6841 or 42 or 43. Those are the numbers to dial. My guest today, Secretary General of the National Union of Mine Workers, Mr. Frans Baleni. Dr. Baleni, welcome to the show. 21 years down the line, May Day is here, Workers' Day as it is, but we go into May Day 2015 with a divided proletariat.
Thanks, Mr. Zaidu, for having me. We will be reflecting and celebrating at the same time the gains of our efforts over the past years. You will remember that as organized workers, as the working class, we did not only fight for helmet and overalls, but we fought for the freedom of this country. Yes, there are certain milestones, progress has been made. There are challenges COSATU is facing. Indeed, we are hurt, but we think that's a short-term challenge we will overcome.
What makes you, or what gives you the confidence that you are going to overcome? I mean, as COSATU right now, you are faced with a, I don't know if I may use even the word ghost of Zwelinzima Mavavi. Probably there are people who are going to be calling for his reinstatement tomorrow, and this will further deepen the divisions within COSATU.
History tells us that in any large organization, we are a federation of over 2 million members. Clearly, such a large organization will have challenges. And there are times when the challenges get into peak point, but what was clear in terms of COSATU was to enforce discipline, to ensure that we don't allow anarchy. I assume even criminals have their own rules, and therefore any deviation from the rules and procedures, there must be consequences. That does not mean that it's the collapsing of the organization. We are quite confident that COSATU will be marching ahead. It must focus on the priorities of workers, but it must not be selfish as an organized federation, but it must also speak for the voiceless, the unemployed, dealing with poverty, and be a campaigning giant.
What are you going to be telling the workers tomorrow?
Our message, firstly, is unity. We need to ensure that we maximize unity. Those who might have chosen to conduct themselves in a deviant manner should do a reflection and join us in marching ahead. Any disunity, it will benefit the capital. Secondly, is to say we have fought for this democracy. We have fought for the new labor laws in this country, the Labor Relations Act, the Basic Condition of Employment, affirmative action, the rights of women, and therefore we must preserve them. They did not come from heaven. We fought for them. People were killed to get some of these benefits, and therefore while we're focusing on dealing with the new challenges confronting us, let's protect the gains which we have made over the 20 years.
The majority of South African workers are not unionized.
Worldwide, it is only 7% or the level of penetration of union globally. The US is about 12%. We are slightly higher in terms of penetration. It is our duty as organized unions to push ahead and ensure that we improve penetration. Construction is also the least organized. It's our space. We're doing every effort to ensure that we increase penetration of union density.
Okay. Now, one other important point, which as a federation, and I'm not so sure how far this goes in as far as the NUM is concerned, the labor brokers. This is a pain in the victims, and I actually need to call them victims because they are basically being abused in the eyes of the giants like COSATU.
Well, we're not sleeping on the steering wheel. You would recall that we put a fight to ban labor brokers, and what the government have decided was to regulate. So we have made some little progress insofar as the regulation, but not the total ban. We are now dealing with the reaction, retaliation of capital of these labor brokers, where they are terminating service after 3 months, rehire them for another 3 months. So the war is not over, the fight is not over. We need to continue to push ahead for our call, because this confirms that our call for outright banning and not try to regulate was the right call.
Yeah, but shouldn't it be easy? I mean, I would imagine that victims are easy to organize.
And unfortunately, I wish it was the case. You will find that farm workers, you will find even construction workers who are badly treated, seem to be very difficult to organize because employers make environment difficult. I have tried even in certain areas where workers would say, if it can be known that we spoke to a union, we are gone. So you need an element of class consciousness which is up, so then workers should know that the fight should come from them in order for them to be organized. The fight can't come from an official. It must be them who are driving. In the mining space where I am, when we started the NUM, we thought we knew that we could be dismissed. I was fired twice, right? But the fight continues, so that to ensure that we march ahead.
Okay. Hold the thought there. I want us to take a quick break. When we return, we'll be taking your calls on the following numbers: 011 714 6841 or 6842 or 6843. Those are the numbers to dial if you want to share your views right here on Question Time. Please don't go away.
Oh, hi. Just brushing up on my party. We are going to make it number 12. Official. Let me teach you a quick word. Kwaito style. A woman who has mastered the art of dancing in high heels. It's up and flip, huh?
Keep it classy with a bottle of Sky Vodka for $169.99 and help make party South Africa's 12th official language. Tops at Spa. Shake things up.
Welcome back. You're still watching Question Time. We'll continue our discussion with the Secretary General of the National Union of Mine Workers, Frans Baleni, and you can indeed give us a call on the numbers that will be on the screen right away so that we can hear what you've got to say to Mr. Baleni. Or the number to dial is 011 714 6841 42 or 43. Now, Mr. Baleni, what is happening now is that unions are not fashionable to young people. The working class includes a lot of young people. However, they are not being unionized.
Yes, this is a challenge, and it's not only a challenge for us, it's a global challenge. before people would join a union as a part of culture in the family, that my father was a unionist and my mother was a unionist, and they would join. That's not the case. The NUM, for example, 54% of its membership is the young, is the youth. So we ended up having to establish a youth forum, so then we can take care of their needs, they can counsel us, they can advise us, and we can focus on their issues.
Okay. Ms. Puna, you're calling us from Bedford View.
Yes. I'm a technical innovation specialist, and I know for a fact that productivity in South Africa is at all-time low. Despite the fact that unions are fighting so much for their rights, the effect on society, economy, and so on is very negative. How your guest comments around it, because South African economy is really under big challenge.
Okay.
It's an important question, but issues of productivity, it is the duty of management to organize resources, machinery, human resources, to an extent that they can produce according to their needs. And therefore, if management is failing, workers cannot be blamed.
But at what point should workers, be part of the whole equation? Is it not that the argument is always that we are all in this together? If we do not produce, we are going to lay off workers. If things like that.
Mr. Sadi, the problem is that South African management, the majority of them, tend to be dictators. You shall take orders, and that's it. But we have found some of the companies where we're involved, where they are inclusive. Workers are fully made aware of what they're producing, why these targets, even where they sell this coal or whatever commodity they're producing. The productivity level there is very, very high. But if you're going to treat workers as machinery, you shift the targets and expect them just to deliver, you are going to have a problem. Also, happy workers tend to perform better. I am sure even in the SABC, you do your best, maybe because you are happy of your earnings. If you are not happy, the risk is that your performance is going to be under par.
Archie, you are welcome.
Magabane Bodan.
Sawubona about Jonas.
Molo, Archie.
Zimbokeli, just two short issues. One, I don't know even if it is my observation that membership is or unions are going towards what used to be called sweetheart union, instead of the unions which have got their focus and the strength for the workers. And secondly, briefly, it's a question that now, what I've seen is that now, the officials who are being appointed or nominated to position in the unionism take that as a step to political freedom or nominee. I thank you.
Okay. Are you selling out the workers?
Let's thank Mr. Jonas. Fortunately, I know him.
Okay.
It is not about selling workers. If you look at the number of strikes in South Africa, it tells you that we have militant and fighting unions. The fact that the public sector unions went and marched and there's a threat of a strike, it tells you that these are unions which are fighting for the interest of their workers. Trade unionism is not about a stepping stone to higher offices. Any individual in life develops and grows. In this instance, you would see Jay Naidu, Sam Shilowa, and others growing beyond the trade union and get into politics. In Sweden, a trade union is the general secretary, is now a prime minister. That's normal. It can't be seen as if there's anything wrong with that.
Okay. Sinki, you are in Rustenburg. Welcome to Question Time.
Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Yes.
Question to Frans is that, Frans, it seems like NUM right now has put more focus in addressing the issues of political parties. Like now, the division that is taking place in COSATU has affected us at the level of employees. no one comes to address the development. Like NUM now has lost membership fully in Rustenburg, but there is nothing that the leadership at the national level shows some sort of interest on development, on how they intending to achieve to win the members back. That is the concern. NUM is very reluctant, and we were worried about that. How are we paving the way forward in making sure that we don't lose membership the same way it did happen the past 2 years? And one last question is that, what is the NUM doing regarding the retrenchment that is taking place recently in Anglo Platinum? I want the intervention of NUM. What is that they're going to do so that our members, our employees, don't lose their job on their faces while they are watching, they are aware of the situation. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Sinki.
We are paying more focus on the interests of members. No member of NUM, for example, would say, I did not get service because somebody was attending a political meeting. So I don't understand this thing that we're paying more attention on the political side. If you look at Rustenburg in particular, we have delivered the best housing scheme. No other mining house, no other union has ever done that at Royal Bafokeng. The case is referring to on retrenchment at Anglo Platinum. We have just briefed our lawyers. We've briefed a council today, giving instruction to challenge that pending retrenchment. And this retrenchment happens on the basis of the other union signing what we have agreed, that workers must not be retrenched. So we're fighting, we're not sitting and doing nothing about it.
Okay. Happy, you are in Secunda.
Yes, Secunda.
Yes. Go ahead, Happy, you're on air now.
Hello?
Yes, go ahead, you're on air.
Yes. Mr. Mpo, I just want to speak to Mr. Baleni there. I want to ask him, as a union leader there, about something like that is happening for workers there at Midupi site, whereby people striking. As you can see, there's people were striking, but they were not protected. They demanded their rights to be implemented because ISCOM has promised them that they will give them the bonus, but the bonus is given to the foreigners, you see, something like that. So I just want to know to the union about issues like that. Happy foreigners serious than the local citizen. What are they doing about that?
Before you go, Happy, what do you mean bonuses were given to foreigners?
Foreigners like the workers who are coming from maybe Thailand or China, artisans. Okay. Artisans workers.
Oh, okay. No, yeah. Mr. Baleni seems to be aware.
Yeah. As the NUM and other unions who have been fighting to prevent the dismissal, in fact, we got to a point where those workers who were dismissed were reinstated. Okay. And unfortunately, they were also advised by others to continue with the strike, and then the dismissal has been sustained. We have not stopped fighting for them. The problem here is that once you take an unprotected strike, legally you are weak. There's a valid reason about these bonuses where foreigners are given better allowances. The argument is that they are skilled, they give them what they call scarce skills, and the locals don't have those skills, they don't get such an allowance. So it's better that we declare a dispute, so then we protect them and then they're not exposed to dismissals.
Okay. Colin, you are in Mpumalanga.
Mr. Teddy, how are you?
I'm doing well, thanks for asking, my brother.
I'm super. Jola, Molo. Jola, what I want to ask Mr. Teddy Ujola is that what are they doing as the union, basically? Because we can see what is happening currently with some mining houses that are actually avoiding laws of the country in terms of mineral rights. So as our union, what are they doing to make sure that they enforce that companies should comply with the rules and the laws of the country?
Jola, what we are doing, we are actually driving the enforcement agenda, especially the mining charter. You would know that we've been vocal. At one stage, we protested and marched. We engaged the DMR. All the issues which I've raised have just been confirmed by a compliance of a number of mining companies not meeting their targets. Now, what we are asking and driving for the government to do is to have an amended law with a harder stick. In other words, if you're not compliant with the charter, your license must be withdrawn. That's where we're still struggling to persuade the DMR to get into that point. So we're doing as much as we can, and we don't agree with this thing, the notion of once empowered, always empowered.
Mzwandile, you are in the Eastern Cape.
Thank you, Mashegaz.
Oh, I'm sorry, Wandile, yes.
Do you know, I don't know if it is an African or South African problem. I would propose that your honorable leader, they also look at expanding the range of the unions, that they do not only become reactionary, but ideally you wanted a union that is also able to own a certain shareholding in a particular sector that would then allow them to structurally influence a particular industry. And also, let us say, take the Eastern Cape for an example. If we are I'm sitting in Port Elizabeth, and we've got a huge issue when it comes to water allocation in some of the, let's say, the agricultural sector, particularly linked to the citrus industry.
Yes.
In such instances, we don't necessarily want to approach government. We must have a way of approaching the unions and saying, look, here we've got a structural issue that could influence the participation of people, thereby broadening the range of services that is provided by the unions. Currently, as good as what your honorable says there is in what they are doing, we need a lot more from unions than what they are currently providing. Please look into that. Thank you.
Okay. Expanding.
I fully agree that we should do beyond just servicing members. We said earlier on who must be a voice of the voiceless.
But you should be able to do this, Mr. Baleni. You've got this wealthy investment arms. Are they not supposed to do such things?
The issue is that on our approach, maybe we're being conscious to avoid a conflict of interest. That we should not invest in areas where we're organizing. But if you look at in other countries, trade unions actually buy shares of the companies, then they could go to an AGM and push issues in the AGM. So these are some of the things which we need to consider without compromising our positions as the union. We fully support that. It's something which should be on our program.
Okay, Peter, you're our last caller in Limpopo.
Yes, in Limpopo. I just want to ask Frans Baleni that there is nothing that they can do, especially on the full-time shop steward, those who are in the mines, who see everything, what is happening, that because a lot of casuals are working for a long time, a year or 3 years, 5 years, after that they fire them. So that they can check with the full-time shop steward to report to them that these guys, they did work for close to a year, but they never employ them permanently. So I want to know if they cannot do something like that to check to the full-time.
Is there nothing you can do there?
About full-time shop steward who are working for a year? I'm not clear what is the issue exactly. And I think you can contact us off air if there are any specific problems about remuneration, is about the environment of the full-time shop steward. So I would need to get details before one can intervene.
Quick one. Transfer pricing. What is the NUM's position or COSATU's position on this matter?
It is a big problem. We are engaging, and by the way, we're talking to the president of COSATU, Komis Dumo. We're engaging the minister. We have a pending meeting with the minister that it's something which government must pay attention, because we are being robbed as a country through this approach. So clearly, the economy of the country is losing, and therefore, that stick I refer to is very, very important, that there must be consequences, because we know capital is capable, as they have done in the construction sector.
Mr. Frans Baleni, thank you very much for the time. That was question time for today. A big thank you to you and to our guest. Welcome your feedback via email. Our email address questiontime@sabc.co.za. Our Twitter handle @questiontime24. From me and the rest of the crew, have yourself a wonderful time. Goodbye.